fourth, and then we got 3 y's on the bottom. Okay, we can also now start crossing off. You have 5 x's on the top. Excuse me, you have 4 x's on the bottom. So how many x's are there left over after we cross off? There's going to be 1, because we can cross off 4 pairs of them. And where is that 1 left over? On the top. So now you're left with 12x over y cubed, and that's all we can do for this one. Harder problems like number 30, there's so many ways you could do this. I will just do it this way just to be consistent with how I've been teaching, but again, there's just so many ways you can do this. X to the zeros, those are going to be gone. They're all multiplying. You see the 2's, they're going to be gone too as well if you really want to do that. Okay. The negative 3 is outside the parentheses, and they're all multiplication, so you could raise them by a power of negative 3. You can do those arrows. Okay. So this is 2 to the negative 3. Be careful now. This is a multiply, so negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9. Okay. And then you still have a y to the negative 3. Okay. Now, if you have negative exponents on top and bottom, so what's going to happen is this. If you have negative exponents on the top, you're going to move them to the bottom. And then, if you have negative exponents on the bottom, you're going to move that to the top. So, on the top now, we have 2 to the third power, the negative exponent goes away, times y to the third power. Okay. On the bottom, we still have x to the ninth. That's cool. But the y to the negative 2, we move it to the bottom, so it'll be y squared. Okay. We can cross off, yeah, y squared. We can cross off the y's now. There's 2 y's here, there's 3 y's there. We can cross off 2 pairs of y's. So, how many y's do you have left over? 1, and that's going to be on the top. Okay. 3 minus 2 is 1. And then over here, this is going to be an 8. Okay. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. So your final answer is going to be 8y over x to the 9. Okay, that's it for combining stuff with the exponents, laws of exponents, adding, subtracting polynomials. Sorry, I'm checking my phone for text. Okay, I might as well move right along. So now we're going to get into the parabolic stuff. We have to create an equation, f of x equals a, x minus h squared. And so I'm going to start off with, usually this is like your step number 1. After a while, you don't have to write your step number 1. You can just move along to step number 2. Okay, if you are following the Hawaii Common Core stuff, the shifting left to the right is a little bit different. So we know this parabola shifted 3 to the right, but with the shifting left to right, you have to think opposite. So if we shifted 3 to the right, we actually got to go minus 3 on that one. Okay. It shifted 3 to the left, then this would have been plus 3 inside the parentheses. Step 3, I want you guys to pick a y-intercept or a point on the parabola. Right now we're not given a y-intercept because the graph is not big enough, but at least we have a point 2, 3. Okay, this is your x and this is your f of x or your y value. So you're going to plug them in into the equation that you made on step number 4. Okay, so instead of writing f of x, you're going to write 3. 3 equals a times, so this is a times, and then your x value is 2. 2 minus 3 squared. Okay. From here, you're solving for a, this a value. 2 minus 3 is negative 1. Negative 1 squared is going to be 1. When you divide, you're going to divide both sides by 1. It doesn't change much. Your a value is equal to 3. Okay. So that means your final equation is f of x equals 3 x minus 3 squared. And your equation should be matching the parabola. It's a positive 3 a value, so your parabola should be facing up because it's positive 3. And the 3 makes the parabola a little bit skinny or stretched. So it is a little bit skinny based on the graph, just a little bit. Okay. All right, 32. Same steps, but I'm going to start with step 2 over here, because step 1 gets repetitive after a while. Okay, it shifted 4 to the left. So just be really careful. If it shifted 4 to the left, are we going to put minus 4 or plus 4? We are in fact going to put plus 4. Okay, so it's always opposite of what you see for shifting left to right. Okay, they did, there is a y-intercept that we could circle, so 0, negative 8. Again, this is your x, and this is your f of x. So we're going to plug them in on step 4. Negative 8 is equal to a. Your x value is 0. 0 plus 4 squared. A times 0 plus 4 is 4. 4 times 4 is 16. We are not dividing both sides by negative 8, we're dividing both sides by 16, because that's the number by the variable. Your a value is going to be negative 0.5. Just be careful, some students are getting negative 2. It's not 16 divided by negative 8, it's negative 8 divided by 16. Okay? If you want, you can go negative half, it's the same thing. Alright. F of x equals negative half x plus 4 squared. Okay, this page will be very quick, so this one, and then yeah, actually the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 left. 1, 2, 3. Oh, we did 4. Okay, so we're in the halfway point over here. Okay, answer the following questions using this graph below, and we're going to do all of this. These are the ones that we're going to have to label the parabola first. So let's go label them. This looks like it's a 3.5, so I'm going to just put that on the side as an x-intercept. So let's go circle your x-intercepts, and over here is negative 3.5. Okay. Alright, now let's go label the parabola based on this x-axis over here. Hopefully, I'm going to cut the parabola like this in half, so that there's like a top portion of the parabola and there's a bottom portion of the parabola. So let's go do the bottom portion of the parabola first. If you cut off the top using the x-axis, you see it kind of like 2 segments of the parabola. So let's go label those segments first. It is on the right side, okay, of the graph. So we're going to go x is greater than 3.5. So that's how you're going to label this segment over here. This x value is greater than 3.5. And I hope you can see it, because yeah, 4, 5, 6. Even though it's moving downwards, we're labeling it as going from left to right. X is greater than 3.5. Okay. Then, because this is on the left side of the parabola, we're going to go x is less than. So less than left side. X is less than negative 3.5. Like this segment of the parabola over here. Okay. If we're looking at it from left to right. Okay. Now we're going to label the top portion over here. We're going to label it from left to right. It's kind of like one long segment. Okay, it's not split up into 2. So to label this one, you're going to start with the lowest number. Negative 3.5 is less than x is less than 3.5. Only one label. And that's how you're going to label the top portion there. Okay. Okay. Let us now, we can start doing the graph. Sorry about that pause. My brother was trying to text me. Okay, above is the graph of this equation. Fix the equation so that equals to 0. Well, let's go do the opposite of positive 2, which is minus 2. We're going to minus 2 on both sides. 0 is equal to negative 2/3 x squared plus 8. And you know, the left side of the of this equation should kind of match up the parabola 8. Did it shift 8 up? Yeah. It's, oh, is it facing down? Yeah, it's inverted. It's facing down. And 2/3, if this number is between 0 and 1, like a fraction like 2/3, it should be a little bit, you know, compressed or fatter, wider. Okay. All right. We kind of give it away because, you know, this should be matching all of these over here. So if it's not matching, then I don't know what you're doing. All right. When is this equation equal to 0? When they're asking you to find the solution, they're asking for the x-intercepts. And then we did circle those two x-intercepts. So find the solution x-intercepts. You guys could write it like this: negative 3.5 comma 0 or 3.5 comma 0. If you really want to get technical with the x-intercepts. But since they only asked for the solution, you could also write it like this: x equals negative 3.5 or x equals 3.5. I think either form would be fine for us. Okay. All right. Now this is where the labels will come into play. When is this equation less than 0? If you see less than 0, you look below the x-axis. So this is the reason why I covered some things up. We're going to cover the top because we only want things that are below the x-axis. You see those two labels? Those are your two answers. Okay, so those two labels, you're going to put them there. Okay. All right. Greater, you're going to look above the x-axis. You're going to look above the 0 line, above the x-axis. And the only label that we have is this portion right over here on the top. And so I'm just going to put an arrow, and we're going to put it on part C for number 34. Negative 3.5 less than x less than 3.5. Okay. $35. Okay. Same thing for 35. Let's go circle your x-intercepts. I want to make this 1.8. Maybe this one negative 1.8. Okay. Let's go cover the bottom this time, and let's go do the top. If we cover the bottom, we have two segments, one here and one here. Let's do the right segment. What do you guys think? It's something x, yeah, x. It's on the right side, so we're going to use, yep, greater than 1.8. It's greater than the intersection 1.8. So I'm putting that label on the top. And be very picky. Yeah, don't put this label on the bottom because that's not where it goes. This is, since it's on the top, you're going to put it on the top. This part over here, x is, it's on the left side, less than negative 1.8, the intersection. It's less than this intersection here. Okay. Now let's go do the bottom. Okay, it's one long piece, just like on number 33's top portion. So this one long piece will be negative 1.8 less than x less than 1.8. Okay. A fixed equation so that equals to 0. Opposite of positive 9 is negative 9. These are not like terms, so 3x squared minus 9 is equal to 0. That's all we can do on that one. Okay, sometimes they'll trick you. They're not asking for solution. They're asking when the equation is greater than 0. So greater than 0, you got to look above the x-axis. So you're going to block this part over here. That means those two answers belong over here. Okay, when is this equation less than 0? We're going to look below. So we're going to block this one off, and then this is going to be your answer. Oh, sheesh. Sorry about that. Okay, equal sign. Find the solution. You're really finding where it intersects the x-axis. And so there were two places. X equals negative 1.8. X equals 1.8. Again, find the solution is where it crosses the x-axis. Really, you're just your x-intercepts. Okay. One, two, three, four. Okay. We're just gonna keep going. I made this review, and so I'm gonna do everything together. Okay. 37. Okay, now the instructions is factor. Factor meaning you want to put it back in this form before everything was distributed, before everything was in, before you did the box method, before you multiplied everything out. Okay, my hint for you guys for 37 is see if you can factor or divide out, like how many r's can you divide out? You got 3 r's over here, you got 2 r's over here. You can, it's kind of like the exponents. You can divide out 2 r's. So I'm going to do this on the side over here. You can at least take out, factor, divide out 2 r's like that. Okay. Whatever you divided out or factored, you're going to put it on the left side. You're really not eliminating it. You're just taking out and putting it on the side. So that r squared goes there, only one of them. And then now find the leftovers, kind of like using your laws of exponents. You have 3 r's over here, you have 2 r's on the bottom. So how many r's do you have left over? 1. And then you don't have any more r's left over, then you have a 4. So, and then just be careful, a lot of students like to circle C. That's not it, because we need to have r squared. B. Again, to check your work, you're going to distribute. So to check your work, distribute. R squared times r is r cubed, and then 4 times r squared is 4r squared, which is the problem that we started off with. So to check your work, distribute that out. It's just going to be easier for you guys on the final. Okay, let's do 38 first. I like to tackle the number first, so let's see if we can divide out maybe a 4. Okay. Since we divided out a 4, you're only left with x squared, and then minus 48 divided by 4 is 12x. You can go from your answer choices over here. Look at your answer choices. You know that we need to have a 4 on the outside. So I'm already going to take out B and D because we know there needs to be a 4 over here. Okay? Alright. And if you want to go a little bit more, you know it's going to be a negative, so it can't be C. You could probably most likely stop work over here. Okay, now we know the answer is A. But if you want to go a little bit more, how many x's can we take out? We can take out 1x. We can divide out 1x. Okay, whatever you took out, you're going to put it on the left side. You only have 1x left over because you took out 1x. And then you don't have any more x's left over on the second term. So that's going to be that. Okay. 39. We can, for all of these problems, all the a values over here should be 1, so we can do it in this method. Okay. What two numbers multiply to 10, but at the same time they need to add up to 11? So a lot of students like to pick 5 and 2. Yeah, 5 times 2 is 10. You know, that's nice. But does 5 plus 2 equal to 11? No, it's not. We got to think of some other pairs. The only pair I can think of is 10 and 1. 10 times 1 is 10. 10 plus 1 is 11. So your answer is going to be x plus 10, x plus 1. Okay. Again, if you want to check your work, you can do the FOIL method or the distribution or the box method. You should come up to this answer over here. 40. What two numbers multiply to 121? I know some of you guys like to use the composition books. That's totally fine. It's going to be 11 times 11. The only problem is 11 plus 11 is not negative 22. So what you can do is make it both negative. Because negative 11 times negative 11 is positive 121. And then when you add them up, negative 11 plus negative 11, that's negative 22. So k minus 11, k minus 11. Okay. All right. Negative 80. Yeah, so incorporate the minus 80 as a negative 80. What two numbers multiply to negative 80? I can probably think of 20 and negative 4. Okay, you could so one of them got to be negative because it's negative 80. You could also have done negative 20 and positive 4. The only problem is if you were to add them up, like 20 negative plus 4, it's not going to come up to the negative 2 that we want. Okay, so we're going to have to think of some other ones. Let's try 10 and negative 8. We also have negative 8 and negative 10 and 8. Yeah, let's try 10 and negative 8 or negative 10 and 8. Oh man, sometimes. Okay, the best answer is going to be this, because negative 10 plus 8, that's going to give us the negative 2 that we want. X minus 10, x plus 8. Alright, what two numbers multiply to negative 24? Let's try negative 8 and 3, or 8 and negative 3. But there's no way if you add them, those two pairs up, it's going to be a 2. We're going to have to think of other things from our multiplication bank. Let's try 6 and negative 4. Also negative 6 and 4. And this one adds up to positive 2. 6 times negative 4 is negative 24. 6 plus a negative 4 is positive 2. Okay, the remaining of the problems are 43 and 44. Let's see if you can factor GCF something out first. So my hint was there's 2 k's over here, there's 3 k's here, and there's 4 k's. Let's see if you can divide out or factor 2k k squared first. Okay. Okay, you're gonna leave what you remember, whatever you took out, you're gonna put that on the side. Okay, now find the leftovers. How many leftover k's do you have? You got 2 of them, k squared. How many k's do you have? You have 1 leftover k. Don't forget the negative 10. And then those k squares are gone. It will be plus 16. Okay. Now you got to do the same thing as what we did on the last 4 problems. What two numbers multiply to 16 but add up to negative 10? After a while, a lot of you guys are really good at this. I'm just going to give you the answer right away. It's going to be negative 8 and negative 2. Because when you add them up, it will be negative 10. When you multiply them, it will be positive 16. Okay. Alright, I know I like to give a lot of hints, but really without the hints, always check the numbers to see if you can divide out something. And that's where I'm getting the 2 from, because they're all even numbers. So I'm going to factor out a 2, divide out a 2, and this one has 1 b, this one has 2 b's, and this one has 3. So you can at least divide out or take out or factor out one of them, one of the b's. So let's do that in one step. Okay, you took off a 2, and then you're going to take off 1b, so you're left with b squared. You took off a 2, and you took off 1b, so you're going to left with 1b. You divided by 2 over here, so it's going to be negative 6. No b's. Okay. Alright, what two numbers multiply to negative 6 but then add up to 1? That should be positive 3 and negative 2. Man, sometimes my 6's look like these, and just be careful with all these letters and your handwriting too as well. Okay. Okay, 45. If you don't see, usually there's 3 terms, yeah, 1, 2, 3, x squared, x number. So if you don't see a middle term like this, you could add a 0x. After a while, there's patterns to this, okay? You're going to apply the same thing. What two numbers multiply to negative 16 but add up to 0? Some students like to try 8 and negative 2. They're not adding up to 0. I think this is where your squares come in. This is what I mean. 4 and negative 4, because 4 times 4, that's a square, is 16. Okay. Do they add up to 0? Yes. So it's going to be x plus 4, x minus 4. Okay, 46, you could do the same thing, k squared plus 0, k minus 144. After a while, you don't need it if you can spot the pattern. What two numbers multiply to negative 144 but add up to 0? I hope you said 12 and negative 12. If not, say it. K plus 12. K minus 12. Like that. Okay? They multiply to negative 144 and they add up to 0. Okay, 47. Let's see if we can take out a 3. Like, you just kind of, you know, I know I gave you a hint, but then without the hint, like, try it out if 75 can divide it by 3. That's 3/4. 25 plus 25 plus 25 is 75. Yeah, 3/4 is 75. And then you can take out at least 2 k's from both of them. So let's go factor out a 3k squared first. You have 4 k's, you're going to take out 2, so you have 2 left over. And then I already said that 75 divided by 3 is 25, and then there are no more k's left. What two numbers multiply to negative 25 but add up to 0? I hope you said positive 5, and I hope you said negative 5. I'm recording this video, and then like I am recording this for, it's already been an hour and 23 minutes. I'm really definitely gonna have to split this one up, but I'm gonna keep going because we have like 1, 2, 3 more pages to go, and then these pages, especially these ones over here, are not gonna be too bad. Okay, 48 and 49, these are symbol function problems, some problems that you might see on the SAT or ACT, where they give you like this weird symbol, x, percent sign y, but then they actually give you the equation, the expression to work with. Okay, then they want you to find like the actual number value. Okay, well, if we follow along what these are, your 3 is going to be your x value, and then your y is going to be your negative 2 value. Okay, once you spot which one is your x and which one is your y, I would just almost completely ignore this part and then just focus on this. Okay, you're really just following the actual order of operations based on the definition of what they define this symbol to be. Okay, so once you spot what the x is and what the y value is, you're just going to plug it in. So let's do it. Your x value is 3 plus negative 2 minus 2 times 3. So I'm plugging in the x, y's, and the x values inside, plus, and then we have a fraction, x times y, 3 times negative 2, and then after that, x minus y, 3 minus negative 2. From over here, you're just gonna, it's really pretty much PEMDAS. 3 plus a negative 2 is 1. We also have a group multiplication over here, minus 6. Let's go do the fraction. On the top is negative 6. 3 minus negative 2 becomes positive, so that's a 5. Okay, 1 minus 6 is negative 5. We do allow decimals here, so if you are going to do decimal, we're going to go plus negative 1.2. That's negative 6 divided by 5. And then after this will be negative 6.2 if you add up the two negatives together. So we are expecting for these two problems to have numerical answers.